It all started in October of 1996. Halloween night was in full swing, but little did I know it would become the catalyst to a series of strange events that would change Halloween forever. You see, I was reaching that awkward age where I felt a little too old to be trick-or-treating, so joining the neighborhood watch seemed like a good excuse to participate without feeling too weird about it. Anyway, that night, a suspicious-looking car with tinted windows had been spotted driving unusually slow through the neighborhood, which had everyone a little on edge, especially the neighborhood watch. We were all assigned to different zones so we could all cover as much ground as possible, usually the areas that we were most familiar with, which in my case was the street near where I grew up, located at the far end of the suburb, which was essentially a cul-de-sac. After patrolling the streets for about an hour, I was yet to see any sign of the car, but I did spot some trick-or-treaters standing at the entrance of the abandoned coal mine, which was a little out of the ordinary, even for Halloween. At first I thought it was going to be a simple case of telling the kids to head on home, but eventually I got close enough to realize that they were actually on the other side of the fence. The boy who was dressed as a ghost appeared to be the youngest, being comforted by one of the older girls, who I assumed was a friend or an older sister. Both the girls were dressed as cheerleaders, while one of them did most of the talking. When I asked how they got inside, she told me that the gate was open, and they decided to explore the coal mine. But when they tried to leave, someone had already closed the gate, and they were trapped inside. I was quite confused by this since I wasn't aware of any groundskeeper on the premises, and I had never seen the gate open before. To my surprise, the gate didn't appear to be locked at all, rather wedged into the pavement. I was quite sure there was a chain and padlock the last time I looked, though it had been a while since I'd been anywhere near the abandoned coal mine. It took a while to budge it, but eventually I did manage to create a wide enough space for the three of them to pass through. After one of the cheerleaders came through, the young boy soon followed, before both running off, and I remember thinking it was kind of strange that they didn't wait up for the other cheerleader. However, as I turned towards the entrance to the mine, I was shocked to see that she was gone. I wanted to get the attention of the others, but by then, it was already too late, and they had already mingled with the rest of the trick-or-treaters. It all happened so fast, I didn't even get around to asking any of them if they had seen the car with the tainted windows. It seemed rather pointless to speculate what might have lured the other cheerleader back into the tunnel, since I couldn't just leave her there by herself. So I entered the property to look for her without thinking too much about it. I'm not sure what it was that made the old coal mine so creepy. Some say it was shut down due to a series of tragic accidents, while others said it simply went out of business and was eventually sold to make way for the new housing development. What I never understood is why they decided to keep the lights on, but I guess there was some reason behind it. Either way, it was a place most folks would generally avoid, and I could definitely see why. I had no intention of going inside the tunnel, so I decided to stay quiet and listen for any telltale signs that someone was in there. But all I could hear was the gentle sound of raindrops begin to scatter on the ground around me. Still reluctant to go inside, I really didn't want to get completely drenched either, so I entered the tunnel, just far enough to shelter myself from the rain and wait for it to pass. At some point, while waiting for the rain to stop or at least ease up a little, I heard a strange sound echo from deep inside the tunnel. I couldn't see all that well even with the lights on, and it wasn't long before I heard the sound again. I remember being scared, but also curious at the same time. Perhaps at that moment I should have just assumed the worst, but nevertheless, I found myself being drawn deeper into the tunnel. Until eventually, I saw the silhouette of something up ahead. Even as my eyes became more accustomed to the dark, I still couldn't make out what it was, and finally decided I had already come close enough. But just as I was about to turn back, a flash of lightning from outside briefly illuminated the tunnel, before plunging it into complete darkness. It didn't take me long to realize that the storm had knocked out the power, and while I stumbled in the dark trying to use the interval flashes of lightning to my advantage, it only revealed the true hidden horrors of the tunnel. I don't think I've ever run as fast as I did that night, and I still don't fully understand what I had just witnessed inside that tunnel. In spite of everything, I still hadn't forgotten what lured me into the tunnel in the first place, and my concern for the missing cheerleader only grew stronger, now knowing the true dangers of the abandoned coal mine. I knew my best bet was to find the other 2 trick-or-treaters that were with her to get more information, and then alert the rest of the neighborhood watch. A daunting task considering it was still raining, and most of the kids had probably gone home already. But fortunately, as I headed back to the suburb, I found them standing at the porch of one of the houses just beyond the cul-de-sac, doing their best to stay dry. I explained what happened without mentioning what I'd just seen inside the tunnel, but their reaction wasn't quite what I was expecting. And when I mentioned the other cheerleader, they seemed genuinely surprised. It was just the 2 of us, they said. I guess I felt relieved in some weird way that there didn't appear to be anyone missing, but I still couldn't explain what I saw in the tunnel, or why I was the only one who could see the cheerleader with the dark hair. And despite all the strange things I had already witnessed that Halloween, I couldn't help sense that it foreshadowed something far more sinister, just waiting to happen.